This is going to be test number 1. The topics of test 1 will be organization of the body and anatomy and physiology of cells. So 3 chapters, right? 1, 3, and 4. Nothing from chapter 2.
Anatomy, physiology, and cells?
Mm-hmm. So today's class, last week's class, and class number 1. Now, the test will comprise 60 questions, all multiple choice, I think. Yep, all multiple choice. And what you're going to want to know is what is a reasonable description of anatomy, the word anatomy. Yeah, yeah. What is meant by the term systemic anatomy? What is meant by the term physiology? What does the word metabolism mean? Oh. Question number 5 from your quiz is on test 1, word for word.
Question. The answer was mesomorph. Muscle.
The answer selections are usually different, but the correct answer will always be there. How does one describe the term homeostasis? You're going to need to know what a negative feedback loop is, what a positive feedback loop is, and you'll need to know examples of both. Make sure you know the cavity of the body in which the lungs are located. Oops. Make sure you know the number of abdominal regions we have.
Yep.
Make sure you know the difference between the frontal, sagittal, and transverse planes. That's frontal, sagittal, and transverse planes. Anyone need the spelling of sagittal?
This is
No?
the body's got 3 vertical lines, front, back, middle
Of the skull.
of the skull. This is
Make sure you know
Frontal, sagittal, and
all of the characteristics
Transverse.
of life. question number 22 on your test is not something that came up in your PowerPoint slides.
Thank you.
So here is the question. I'm going to dictate it word for word. You'll have to hunt around in the textbook to find the answer to this, though. The question asks, which of the following recognize and destroy? Which of the following recognize and destroy non-self cells?
Self cells.
Non-self cells. I'll spell that. Non-self. November, Oscar, November, Sierra, Echo, Lima, Foxtrot. Non-self cells.
I can write this down. Is it just any word when you do that? There's no specific to letter?
Say again, please.
When you're reading the alphabet out like that, there's nothing specific, like you can go Charlie or whatever.
No, there's a
It's
specific
always-
word for each
okay.
letter, yeah. It's international. The
It's
phonetic
military.
alphabet is used all across North America. There's no other language that you speak with over the airwaves than that.
Okay. Perfect. I got 8I. Beta's wrong. Gamma's wrong.
Okay, make sure you know the name of the organelle that digests and destroys microbes.
That what?
Digests and destroys.
Digest and destroy microbes.
Microbes?
Yep.
Now, make sure you know the difference between those cell projections called cilia and flagella. They are both cell projections. Make sure you know the difference between the two. Cilia and flagella. You like this review?
Yep.
Works for you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Doesn't get any more specific, eh? Good call.
Okay, make sure you know in which organelle the DNA is located. Make sure you know from with it. I asked Pat to slap me, but I'm afraid he might hurt me. I'm definitely not asking Terrence. Okay, let me try that one again. Make sure you know from within which organelle ATP production takes place. Really? Yeah. From within which organelle does ATP production take place? I'm trying very hard to say this without ending the sentence with a preposition. One never ends sentences with prepositions, right? Of course you
Right.
know that. What are you laughing at? You're sitting awfully close to me laughing like that. Okay. There is a type of cell extension that contains microfilaments. Which is it? Okay, which organelles in the body, which organelles rather in the cell, are membranous? I want to know which have a membrane and which do not, basically. Which organelles have membranes, which do not. I'll do it harder. Okay, this one, I must have written this question. I can't imagine the textbook writers coming up with this. Okay, I'm not gonna actually give you the question, just listen for a second and then write, okay? There's a barrier function of the plasma membrane, right? Okay? How is that barrier accomplished? How does it, what is it about that membrane that makes it that barrier? Okay?
So how is the barrier?
How is the barrier of a plasma membrane accomplished? Make sure you know what the endoplasmic reticulum does. Okay, if you were to damage the centrosome and centrioles in a cell, what function would the cell not be able to do? So if the centrioles and centrosomes were damaged, what would the cell not be able to do now?
Centrosome?
Yeah. Centrosome and centrioles.
Okay, make sure you know what is meant by the term diffusion. Make sure you know all of the passive transport systems.
I don't like that face.
No, I like that
No
question.
comment here.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that, I didn't write that as a question. I want to know the name of the process by which materials are moved from a low to a high concentration. The term phagocytosis is an example of what? Need the spelling of phagocytosis? Yeah? Okay. Papa, hotel, alpha, golf, Oscar, Charlie, Yankee, Tango, Oscar, Sierra, India, Sierra. Phagocytosis.
Phagocytosis is an example of what?
An example of what? Okay, I want to know also the name of the process by which water moves through the cell membrane.
Beauty. Yeah, some of these I've just been putting in the answers as I go. Like that, don't need to study because I know.
What is phagocytosis?
Oh, so we got some salt up there. You know what that is?
What's that?
Salt.
Sodium chloride.
Oh, technical name.
Okay? Salt. You have to know what that means to answer this question. The question is,
What does that mean?
which direction does this move? Into the cell, out of the cell, or both? Make sure you know what a hypertonic solution contains. You're going to have to hunt around in the mechanisms of disease section of this textbook because I want to know the term that we use that is synonymous for the word tumor. What is the word we use that is synonymous for tumor? Okay, I'm going to read this one to you.
Yeah.
It is question 55. It's complex. You'll have to do some thinking. This question reads as follows. If a 20% glucose solution were separated from a 10% glucose solution, separated by a permeable membrane, what would happen?
Equilibrium. Easy.
Okay, Sean, where are you? Did you write that question down? Okay, could you read it back to the class to make sure we got it right in your Sergeant Major voice, please?
20% glucose solution were separated from 10% glucose solution, separated by a permeable membrane, what would happen?
Okay? All righty
Did
then.
that 10 seconds ago, you better know that.
Now, did we go over mitosis? No.
No.
This cell splitting is mitosis. With meiosis.
Connecting.
Connecting, separating, easy enough. Mitosis is
Cell
sort of like
division,
skin
cell
regeneration.
mitosis.
Is
I don't think
mitosis
that-
from a wound. Skin regeneration from a wound. That's an example of mitosis. Your
Skin
skin cells.
regeneration?
Yeah.
Would be meiosis.
Why?
Because it's the regeneration, the joining of cells.
So it's rejoining them. It's not creating new ones to fill the void.
No, but new cells have to join to
Oh,
fill the void.
fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So I got it.
Mitosis would be the splitting of the cells.
Yeah.
So like, radiational poisoning is mitosis.
Yeah?
Because, well, you have to split cells.
Okay. Yeah.
Radiational poisoning does.
Okay,
No mitosis.
lastly,
No, it's
Oh.
make sure you know how can I say this? Make sure you know how hydrostatic pressure of the blood is generated.
Is stimulated?
Generated,
Generated. It's generated.
and that's it.
30 points.
Now-
So we don't need to know anything about mitosis?
No, they're on the test, but I'll just tell you when you get it, which questions. Okay, before we all start packing up here, troops, there are obviously 7 or 8 questions on this test that I did not indicate what they would be. Right? But the rest you know. So in other words, if you just focus on this review I've given you and use your practice test as a helpful guide, you're probably going to get a very high B on the test. That means over 70, 75, maybe 78%. If you dive into the textbook and really wade through it, you're probably going to be able to answer the other 7 or 8 questions I did not indicate. So you'll get a higher mark.
And that's chapters 1.
1, 3, and 4.
3, and 4.
Oh, and that's in the book right now, eh?
Okay? Now also, before you go, this is important. I indicated earlier that the test would be next week. It is not. It is the following week. Okay, I'm gonna move it into week 5, because that's what it says on your timetable.
Sweet.
And I did that because many of you still do not have your textbooks,
Thank you.
okay? So once those textbooks come floating in there, everybody can be on the same page. 'Cause if you don't have your textbook, it's really hard to
3, and
pass
9.
these
And
tests.
3 and 4.
Okay? So I've given you the review, but we're gonna delay, I would like to have that test next week, but we'll delay it by 1 week.
Cool.
Everybody got it?
Yeah.
So remind me of that if I hand out the test next week. Okay, carry on as if you were normal.
Thank you.